Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear somebody now. I saw Donna talking, but I couldn't hear anything.
We can hear you, Bishop Card.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the November 4th, 2025 regular Board of Education meeting. And we will have a roll call for Ms. Sheila.
Troy Carr,
Here.
Jamie Clapham,
Here.
Katie Urban. Here. Donna Moore,
Here.
Walt Swan,
Here.
Angela Rafferty.
Here.
Absent with notice is Christine Stephenson. Marissa Boness is absent with notice. Elena Braun.
Here.
And Warren Merrill.
Here.
All right, thank you. I would invite everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, item 3, approval of the proposed agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda that anyone sees the need for? No, and just board, since we have one on Zoom, all votes will be roll call vote tonight. So, seeing that, Mr. Swan moves to approve the proposed agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Urban. So it has been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agenda. Ms. Sheila, may we have a roll call, please?
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban. Yes. Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
and Angela Rafferty.
Yes.
All right. Motion carries. And next we will have the sharing of the success. And we turn the floor over to Dr. Comer.
Okay, there we go. So I'm joining you guys this evening because it is National School Psychologist Week. So I wanted to recognize our school psychologists. So the week, November 3rd through the 7th, is the National School Psychology Week. And we have 11 school psychologists within our district that serve our students, families, and staff. Some are here, some are not. The 11 that we have in the district are Curtis Middleton, Julie Remereed, Bridget Henriksen, Tiffany Parks, Madison Schreiber, Alyssa Marquardt, Eric Fodness, Kayla Ederveen, Jennifer Negretti, Sabra Davis, and Courtney Gallion. So those are the psychs that work with us. So our school psychologists play a vital role in supporting students' academic and social emotional growth. They provide comprehensive evaluations that help identify students' unique learning needs and strengths. They collaborate with teachers and families to develop meaningful special education programs that truly support each student's growth. And they help plan evidence-based interventions to promote adaptive skills and positive behavior within educational settings. The work of our school psychologists has a positive impact on students, families, and the broader community. Teachers implement new approaches that help all students learn more effectively, thanks to the support and guidance provided by our school psychologists. This year's theme for the National School Psychology Week is Finding Your Path. It highlights the importance of collaboration and support in achieving academic and personal success. So please join with me in expressing our appreciation of our 11 school psychologists that work tirelessly throughout the year to support our students, families, and their community. So, thank you.
All right, do any board members have any comments? Ms. Urban is raising her hand. You have the floor.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, and you are appreciated. It's crazy to me that there's 11 of you. It seems like there should be more, and I know that the workload just continues to increase. So thanks for doing what you do with less, and I know that it's truly a need in our district, and it doesn't go unnoticed, even though you guys are kind of behind the scenes a lot of the time. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all that you do. Oh, and you don't get to get away without Bobby taking a picture. Thank you, school psychologist. All right, there were no open forums turned in, so there will be no board open forum and thus no board response to open forum. So we move on to item 7, student reports. And up first tonight, we have Mr. Warren Merrill from Rapid City Alternative Academy.
Hi. Hi, I'm Warren Merrill, and I'm excited to share what's been happening at RCAA. We currently have 2 discovery cohorts for Q2. We're continuing to build a positive, supportive school culture. We were able to accept 57 additional students into RCAA between RCAA Middle School, the Eagles Path program, and VHS. Our parent-teacher conference is coming up on November 13th, and our theme this quarter is Parent-Teacher Multicultural Awareness. We're excited to celebrate our diverse school community, connect with families, and highlight the positive things happening across our school. There's also a lot happening beyond the classroom. We still have the open gym every Tuesday and Thursday. We also launched a few new clubs this year, including Volleyball Club, a Pokemon Club that meets on Wednesdays, a Dungeons and Dragons Club that's been a big hit. We're even in the process of starting a hand game team, which a lot of students are looking forward to joining. This quarter, we also had our first senior breakfast, which is a great way to celebrate our senior and recognize their progress. Our student leadership council meets every week and is feeding South Dakota, helping both our current exploring ways to support feeding, Rapid City community and RCAA students. We're also working on improving average daily attendance and gathering feedback from students through student rounding, leadership meeting, and active clubs. We are encouraging student learning beyond the classroom. We had several opportunities outside of our classroom walls to explore our learning. For example, in financial algebra, we went to Rushmore Crossing to evaluate different prices in different stores. We all take responsibilities in planning process for our out-of-classroom experiences and learning how to tie the experience into our unit of study. Educationally, we are keeping track of how many math and English credits students are earning, especially how many are B or higher and C or higher, to keep us focused on continuous improvement. Finally, our discovery cohorts recently completed artistic ceiling tiles that will be displayed in our commons area. They look awesome and really show off our students' creativity and school pride. Overall, this year has a strong start. Students are engaged, involved, and motivated to keep making RCAA a great place to learn and grow. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for that great report, Warren. Do any board members have any questions or comments or feedback? Thank you so much, Mr. Merrill. Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. I apologize, President Carda, so hold on just a moment.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Merle, that I'm excited to hear about the multicultural event and activities that you all are having. I always thought and still feel that it's so important for all of us to learn about different cultures and have an understanding of that. And it just causes everyone to have such an appreciation for the person that you're sitting in class with. So thank you for that. And I was excited to hear about it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Swan.
Yes, thank you. I just have a question, or 2 questions. What's the Pokemon Club?
Okay, so Pokemon Club, I don't know if you know Pokemon, like the card playing game. Essentially, it's just a after school program where they get together, people who like to play Pokemon, and then they just sit. I mean, they even trade cards. Like some cards are worth like literal money, like $200 or something. I don't know. But they trade their cards, they play games, they battle each other, and it's just some fun, I guess. I haven't personally went. I don't know too much about Pokemon.
Second question is regarding your hand games team. Are you
Yeah.
guys gonna get into the LNI tournament?
I don't know about that, but I really don't know much about that either. I was actually gonna look into that when it gets going. I was gonna see what it's about, but yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
That's great. And I was just gonna comment, I think it's, I'm really glad you mentioned the, hands-on and you guys helping plan outside the classroom. I think so many times people outside of the walls don't know that these things happen in our district. And I think it's great, like, for our students to be able to take on leadership and be active in their learning. So I really love hearing about that. So thanks for sharing. All right. Then, Miss Marissa is absent. So, Miss Braun, you have the floor.
Good evening, board and community members. I have several exciting pieces of news for you all tonight. Recently, Stevens High School sent out an interest survey to sophomores and juniors regarding their thoughts on adding AP Bio to the master's schedule. It received overwhelming support from students, with over 100 expressing interest in the class. Additionally, Stevens is looking into adding AP Seminar to the schedule, which would replace Advanced English 10. With nearly 950 AP classes being taken at Stevens and interest growing, we think it's important to expand our offerings. Stevens made increasing student engagement in the classroom a goal for students and teachers this year. They have adopted the means of participation and routines mindset. On November 5th, students will receive a 4-question survey in each of their classes to judge Stevens' progress with the student engagement. One of the questions is, what classroom participation technique keeps you engaged the most? Some sample answers include cold calling, partner reflection, and post-reading discussion. Stevens will use the results of that survey to advise teachers on what they can do to effectively keep their students engaged and on task. And I want to provide the board with some student insight into the new cell phone policy at Stevens. Our current policy requires phones to be put up in a phone cubby during class. Phones can be grabbed once the bell rings, and the policy allows free use of cell phones during passing periods. After hearing from several students, I can confidently say that this policy is effective when it comes to phone usage during class. I never see my classmates on their phone unless it is for educational purposes, and I believe this is a preferable alternative to a total phone ban. I will now take a second to highlight activities at Stevens. Our Stevens boys and girls cross country teams both finished 5th at state, with Raider Evelyn Hurley boasting a 5th place finish at the state meet, running a time of 18 minutes and 22 seconds. Yesterday, National Honor Society hosted their annual new member induction ceremony. We inducted 103 new members into our chapter and are looking forward to using their support to help our community. And we want to thank Dr. Thompson for attending our ceremony last night. We really appreciated her presence there. And on a very light note, Stevens was pleased to finally welcome our new Raider mascot. Our mascot was ordered over 2 years ago and finally arrived just 2 weeks ago. Despite having a long history of being our mascot, Raider Guy, as we have been calling him, does not have a name. To remedy that, our student athlete leadership team, or SALT, went to Pinedale and Corral Drive Elementaries to get name suggestions from our future Raiders. This decision will be announced soon, so wait for it. As everyone knows, our teachers at Stevens are unmatched in their energy. They further proved this through their Halloween costumes on Thursday, October 30th. Each floor competed for best costumes. Second floor teachers were Buc-ee's employees. Third floor, tacky tourists. Fourth floor, all versions of our beloved math and physics teacher, Bob Julius. Fifth floor were baseball players, and our counselors were minions. Seeing our teachers dress up and decorate with such enthusiasm improves the overall morale and focus of students on a day as exciting as Halloween Eve. And my staff spotlight for this week is Haley Hall. Mrs. Hall is the librarian here at Stevens. Haley Hall is a graduate of Black Hills State and is in her 2nd year as librarian at Stevens. She loves to read and wants to get resources like books into the hands of our Stevens students. In her free time, Mrs. Hall loves to read, of course, and she loves to take walks with her dog and her husband. Thank you for your time.
Wonderful report. Mrs. Urban.
Thank you. And I just wanted to mention, you mentioned the AP Bio. It was a survey that went out. And I was just gonna let the board know that that was a student school board project, I guess, for lack of a better word, something that they were interested in. And so one of the student school board members last time did a bunch of research and pros and the cons, and tried to sort of make a case. And then the student school board voted to take the next step, which was to get feedback from students. So I think it's something that doesn't come without its own challenges, but I think their plan is to bring that then to the board and see if it's something that they can implement. So thank you for your report.
Dr. Thompson.
I just want to know if Steve is still in the running for your mascot name.
I think he's one of the options. We sent out a little survey. The others were Mater, Royal, Rocky, and Steve.
Yeah. I do like Stephen. I just gonna say it, I feel like it piggybacks off RCAA. I am just so excited about hearing how students are using their voice and being part of their education, and you're not just passively like, yes, I love the feedback on the cell phone policy. I love that, feedback on AP classes. I just think that's super important. And I think sometimes for students, it's hard feeling like, oh, we're just kids, but being able to give feedback and have input, I think that's great. And I love seeing it. All right, we are now on to Dr. Thompson and the superintendent report.
Thank you for your patience. I have two topics that I am excited to share tonight. The first is regarding a literacy grant that we recently received. Rapid City Area Schools has been selected by the South Dakota Department of Education to receive a Tier 3 Elevating Literacy Across South Dakota grant. Through this grant, we will receive $3.1 million over a 4-year period, which is approximately $775,000 a year, to strengthen literacy outcomes for students in pre-K through 12th grade. This grant aligns perfectly with the work that we already have underway with the science of reading, our professional learning communities, and response to intervention, RTI, / multi-tiered systems of supports, MTSS. And it will give us the resources and structure needed to accelerate those efforts district-wide. Oops, that was that slide, sorry. As part of the grant, we will establish a district literacy leadership team. This team will participate in advanced literacy training through the Department of Education's state literacy courses that were recently released, as well as some trainer opportunities. They will also develop our district leadership vision and goals, write a comprehensive reading plan for the district, and continuously review our district data, instructional materials, and our implementation of the science of reading. At the pre-kindergarten level, grant funds will help enhance language and literacy development by strengthening our instructional and assessment materials, aligning our early childhood instructional materials with state literacy guidelines, implementing targeted interventions for our early learners, and providing professional development grounded in the science of reading. At the elementary level, we will focus on implementing a comprehensive literacy improvement plan that integrates reading and writing across all content areas, as well as providing training for literacy coaches and professional development for staff to ensure the effective implementation of our new literacy materials that are aligned to the science of reading. It will also help purchase supplemental English language arts materials that go along with our new program, and deliver targeted interventions through our RTIS and MTSS processes. At the middle and high school levels, funds will support continued development of a literacy improvement plan that embeds reading and writing across the content areas. It will focus on collaboration among our English language arts teachers that is focused on curriculum mapping, common formative assessments, and data analysis, as well as professional learning to support effective literacy instruction and targeted interventions for students that are reading below grade level. In addition, we will bring in external consultants to assist our staff in their implementation of effective literacy practices and content area reading strategies across all grade levels. This grant represents a significant investment in our students and our staff, and it is a wonderful opportunity to deepen our district's commitment to strong literacy instruction based on the science of reading at every level within the district. I am also excited to share that we have a team of teachers, principals, teaching and learning staff, and DDL members collaborating with the South Dakota Department of Education to conduct a comprehensive assessment system review. The purpose of this comprehensive assessment system review is to first establish a shared understanding of what constitutes a balanced and coherent assessment system, ensure that we have alignment between classroom, district, and state level assessments, promote continuous improvement in teaching, learning, and decision-making, and support equitable access to high-quality assessments that inform instruction for all students. Rather than try to explain this myself, I have a short 5-minute video for you to watch. I hope. Do I have to turn on my volume?
System, we need all
Okay.
of the assessments that are administered to students. What is an assessment system review? In order to understand what an assessment system review is, we should first understand what we mean by assessment system. When we talk about an assessment system, we mean all of the assessments that are administered to students over the course of the year. These can include state-required annual achievement tests, school and/or district-required assessments, classroom summative assessments used for grading purposes, and also classroom formative assessment practices, though formative assessment will not be a part of this review process. We sometimes categorize assessments into two broad groups, as shown in the image. The first category includes assessment, both formative and summative, under the control of a teacher for the purpose of informing instruction. The second category includes all assessment for which control is outside the classroom, and the intended use is monitoring to support instructional quality. Conducting an assessment system review involves examining all the assessments that a student completes in a year. Considering the breadth and type of assessments that one student experiences is an important step for understanding whether these are the right assessments being used for the right uses, or if you need to make some adjustments. For example, you might ask whether school and district leaders have information that can be aggregated across classrooms or schools to monitor student learning, or whether teachers have access to the kind of assessment strategies that allow for insights into student thinking to inform daily instructional interactions targeted to specific content and skills, or whether teachers are using assessments that fairly evaluate student learning at certain points in time to report to parents or caregivers and to students about student achievement of state content standards. There are some common issues we see over and over with assessment systems. These include the use of too many assessments, duplicative assessments, assessment approaches not matched to instructional or monitoring needs, or assessments that do not adequately get at the depth of the standards. In contrast, the term balanced assessment system has been used to describe a system in which all the assessment users have access to the right level of information to meet their needs, while not over-assessing students. You may have heard this described as a comprehensive or coherent assessment system. Later in this module, we cover ways to explore whether, or the degree to which, an assessment system is balanced, and provide guidance on identifying the key users for assessment information in schools and the kinds of information needs they have. With the goal of working toward more balanced assessment systems, the purpose of an assessment system review is determine whether or to what degree the collection of assessments administered to a student over a year supports the district's vision of high-quality instruction. To decide whether leaders and teachers have the assessment information that they need to inform the kinds of decisions that they need to make. To identify gaps or redundancies in assessment information. and to develop an action plan for how to communicate about and respond to the findings from the assessment review. This work is best done with a school or district team to ensure a wide variety of perspectives are included. We will talk more about the composition of the team in a little bit. Let's talk now about how an assessment system review is conducted. The steering committee will need to decide how to time this work, whether as a sprint over 2 days or as a long distance run over approximately 5 months. There are pros and cons for either approach. In the assessment system review approaches, scope of the review, and sample agendas document, you can see both options together with some considerations to help the steering committee decide which one to select. Regardless of the approach selected, sprint or long distance run, modules 1, 2, and 3 provide information for the teams to complete in preparation for starting the actual review and evaluation in modules 4 and 5. The majority of the time will be spent completing and analyzing the assessment inventory, which will be conducted using an assessment review tool. Teams will be asked to identify the different kinds of assessments that one student experiences in the 4 core content areas over the course of the year and consider why you are using these assessments. The modules will support your work through this process. This includes the evaluation phase, which occurs after all assessments have been inventoried, and the assessment review tool creates a visual representation of the assessment system. The final module, Module 6, is for the steering committee to use after the grade level teams have completed their work. Module 6 will guide the steering committee to review recommendations across the team and to create an action plan for the assessment system going forward.
Oops, we don't want to watch it again. Well, I have one more slide. But rather than try to find that, I'll just talk. Our goals are expected outcomes for this 2-day or sprint. We're doing the sprint option. 2-day comprehensive assessment system review are to really ensure that we have that coherent, balanced, and equitable assessment system that is streamlined to reduce redundancy and to increase instructional time, to make sure that we're only testing what we need to test, we're not duplicating it, and that it's meaningful. It's also to improve data literacy among our teachers and our leaders, ensuring that we have a culture that's focused on student growth and instructional improvement rather than just compliance with getting the assessments done. Both of these things that I talked about tonight align with our work that we're doing with our strategic plan under the student pillar to improve student achievement. And I think we'll see great effects from both of them. If you have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer those.
President Carr, go ahead.
Dr. Thompson, obviously we are excited about the literacy grant. And again, it's just another talking point that we can use as we develop under the student pillar, trying to improve our state scores. I'm also excited about the assessment planning that you're doing in my time as a board member. I've heard it all from assessments from various people that we don't have enough. We need more. We need different ones to that we don't need them at all, and they get in the way. And so I'm excited. I will be excited to hear the results of this assessment and the plan moving forward. So thank you for addressing those issues.
Mrs. Rafferty.
Well, I'm sitting over here doing my happy dance. I'm excited to hear about the literacy grant, and I truly believe with the literacy grant, this will help improve student scores. It'll give the teachers and the students the tools that they need. And I'm excited to hear about the assessment also. For a long time, we were doing so much testing and not enough, we were collecting data. The teachers are really good at testing and collecting data and using their data to drive their instruction. But sometimes we can test too much and that takes away from the teaching time that the teacher needs to teach her students and be with her students. So I'm excited to see where this all goes with the literacy grant and the assessment, and it just really looks good. Sounds like we're going in a good direction to help improve student scores, so.
So, Mr. Swan.
Thank you, Mrs. Clapham. How many people are going to be involved in the assessment team?
I don't know the exact number, and I'm not sure if Jen is on, but I know there are both teachers and administrators involved, and they've started that. I'm also putting out another link tomorrow to see if there are more people interested.
Yes, I am here, and the assessment team, at this point, we've got about 18 people, and we do have people from all levels. We have teachers and admin from elementary, middle, and high school level represented. So yeah, we're excited to see what we find out and see if there's gaps or overlaps, or if we're even doing the right stuff. So should be good.
Thank you, Jen.
And I'm excited because I know that we have teachers that are very invested in the science of reading and who have been wanting more professional development in that area. And we've really been waiting to see if we had this grant because it makes a difference on how much and how fast we can go. So this should be a catalyst for us moving forward with that important initiative.
And I just had a couple thoughts. I echo what everyone else has said. So with that, will it, do you foresee, because it sounds like literacy grant in a good way, is a lot. Will there be PD in the summer likely because of the new curriculum and all of the support that we'll have?
Jen can jump in at any time, but I know that there are a variety of different options, some during the school year, some during the summer, some train the trainer options.
There are a few things that are offered in the summer that are not mandatory. We do have our literacy, our adoption committees for our new ELA resources that they choose when they want to do their training. And sometimes they choose to do it right at the end of the school year. Sometimes they choose a different time in the summer. Sometimes they want to wait, but that really is up to those committees that make those choices. I was able to go to a literacy grant kickoff meeting last week in Pierre, and they talked about all of the trainings, and quite a few of them are available online, just kind of at your own pace. But there certainly are some where we're looking to train some of our staff to coach other staff in their literacy instruction. And that is a certificate that they can earn through SDSU and DSU, I believe was the universities that are kind of partnering on that together. And it's 18 credit hours, and they would start taking classes here in, I believe, in this spring, kind of mid-springtime, like in March, I think. And then that goes on where they're taking 1 credit hour per month for a while. And it's like 1.5 to 2 years that's stretched out. So I'm sure there is some training over the summer. And again, that's if, people opt into these things, if they want to. We'll see what kind of interest level we have, but there's quite a few different things available. So it should be good.
Fantastic. Mrs. Urban.
I was just going to echo what Dr. Thompson said. I've had so many educators who are just really passionate about their craft reach out to me this year with concerns or just excitement about where we're headed with literacy. There's a lot of energy behind the science of reading. And so I'm really excited to see that we will be able to move that even further along. And then a shout out to whoever organized the PD, I think it was last week, on science of reading, because I heard a lot of great feedback on that.
Good. Mrs. Rafferty?
I just have one more question. Does anybody know the last time we had a literacy grant? been a long time. Yeah. Long overdue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that report, Dr. Thompson. We now move on to Mr. Sassy, our CFOO report.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Clapham. Board, I wanted to take some time this evening and provide you all with an update regarding our Rapid Valley Elementary project, expansion and renovation. This is a significant project, obviously both in terms of scope of the project, price of the project, and its importance to the district. And so wanted to give you an update so you had a clear understanding of where we were at as we continue with the project. I feel like first taking a small step backward and talking about how we got to the point we're at is necessary to understanding the overall situation. So when the district determined that this was a project that it was going to pursue, we issued a request for qualifications for a design firm, went through that process, brought a design firm on board. Then discussed the model of construction management that we wanted to use. And this is sort of an important element of this process, and we'll talk more about this throughout the slides here. But determined we were going to use a construction manager at risk, or a CMAR, construction management process. So what that process involves is then issuing a request for proposals for a construction management firm. The difference really between that process and what is called in that industry a design build process would be that the construction firm comes on early in the design process. They're part of the design, which, as you will see, helps to identify issues really throughout the design process, as opposed to a design build where you can design a project, have that completely done, bid it, and then be surprised about what you get back in terms of a bid. So we issued the CMAR request for proposals, got those back, chose Skoll Construction for the CMAR firm to execute that project. And so they came on board. They've been part of the design process. And that's really where we're at currently, is still in the initial phases of the design. So I want to talk a little bit about the strategic goals that were set out when we started this project. Of course, the major one being we wanted to increase elementary capacity on the eastern side of the city to accommodate the growing enrollment there, not only enrollment that we currently have that's approaching and exceeding capacity, but also what we see happening in the future as that side of the city continues to expand. It also gave us an opportunity to install air conditioning in a high priority facility. Rapid Valley is a large facility. It's a badly needed air conditioning project. So it gave us an opportunity to hopefully lower costs and not approaching that as a solo project, but having it be part of this overall project. Implementing a safety and security upgrades throughout the building, including, of course, a safe and secure entrance. And then extending the operational life of a critical facility. Rapid Valley, as we'll talk about throughout this, is a school that's going to be there for a very long time. And so taking the opportunity to extend the life of that building made a lot of sense. There were also some particular site advantages in selecting Rapid Valley as the site for this project. The first being location. It's situated in a deeply residential neighborhood. There is almost a guarantee that no matter what happens in terms of the growth of the eastern side of the city, whether it pans out the way that we're hearing it's going to, or whether it slows down and tapers off, that space will always be needed at that facility because it is in such a deep residential area. The space of the actual property, there was a lot of usable land available for expansion. So it was a great site to expand on. And then lastly, the original building was designed to be expanded on. And so a lot of site advantages. The initial estimate we had based on the conceptual design after we brought the architectural and engineering firm on was between the $15 and $17 million range. About a month, 3 weeks ago, as Skoll got involved and worked through that initial schematic design, They placed the estimate for completion of that project as it was currently designed at about 26 million. So significantly over the initial estimate budget. And as we really dug into that and looked at the budget variance analysis, there were three main areas that came forward as major contributors to that. The first being fire suppression. So currently, the existing building does not have fire suppression, which obviously is an issue. It does not comply with current building codes and safety standards, and at this point, it's been grandfathered in and accepted as the building currently is. However, if we're going to modify and renovate the building as we want to as we move forward, the building has to be brought up to code, and those features have to be added. So it really isn't an option in terms of executing the project. The building permit would require a full fire sprinkler installation, plus the voice evacuation capability for those emergency communications. Obviously, that has a major scope impact. It impacts several different areas of the building. So it would require removing most of the existing ceiling infrastructure. Obviously, the floors in terms of installing fire suppression, the floors and the floor carpeting and tile areas are an issue. Just to give you an example of how that impacts, preserving existing ceiling tiles in the preliminary budget costs about 70% of what replacement value would. So, for example, if they were going into a classroom, they were pulling out tiles, they were saving those, that's about 70% of the replacement value of just coming in and putting in new tiles that frankly need to be replaced anyway. And so we're in that situation where you might as well move forward and replace all those ceiling tiles because you're doing it at a cheaper price than you would as a standalone project. So there's a lot of areas that fire suppression side of things impact. It's a bit of a tricky number to fully wrap our hands around what the additional cost of the project is because of pulling apart areas that would be necessary regardless of whether we were doing fire suppression or not, but are lumped into that fire suppression category. At this point, we would estimate that additional cost of the project at about 1.26 above where we thought it was going to be. Another major contributor was the HVAC system. So our initial projection was right in that $2 million range based on preliminary assessments and the mechanical equipment going into that project. As we got into the design process and had an engineering analysis, that estimate increased to about 3.7 million. So almost double what we had in the initial estimates. We've done a major cost benefit analysis, looked at multiple systems, assuming that as we moved downward in efficiency, we would see a greater cost savings. And to this point, that really isn't how that analysis has worked out. Even lower efficiency systems offered really minimal savings in terms of the overall scope of the HVAC side of that. Approximately 150,000 was the maximum savings that we saw as we moved down to lower efficiency systems. Obviously, high efficiency systems provide superior long-term value. So over the life of that asset, you're going to see much higher value in terms of efficiency with the higher efficiency systems. In addition to that, with the system that we currently have designed in the building, we have the ability to apply for tax rebates similar to the one that we got for South Middle School that we're estimating is going to be in about the $2.5 million range. This is not as big of a system, so it would not qualify for as high of a tax rebate. However, between that and the operational efficiency savings, we believe that would completely offset the higher upfront investment within the first 3 to 5 years. So, for example, if we downgraded, went with a lower efficiency system, we saved $150,000. That within the first 3 to 5 years of having this higher efficiency system, we would get that savings back and then some. So high efficiency approach, again, delivers better climate control, better maintenance costs, and ultimately much lower utility costs over the system's lifespan. However, again, it is a higher upfront cost than that $3.7 million range. And then lastly, site development. So in the initial estimates, we had ballparked the site development cost somewhere in the $250,000 to $500,000 range. Very standard site improvements, really basic landscaping work. Of course, part of the design process is taking soil testing and then surveying, professional surveying of the site. That involves geotechnical analysis. In those findings, we found that there were significant subsurface challenges that were going to have to be addressed in this project. And in this really cruel twist of fate, because one of the things that we talked about often in the lead into this project is, well, Rapid Valley is a really nice flat area and really easy to build out on. And as it turns out, it's excessively flat. It's actually too flat, which is now causing issues in the other direction. So there are serious drainage concerns due to the site being excessively flat. So now we're looking at really extensive stormwater and sewer infrastructure. We need to look at above ground water management systems to, of course, prevent flooding, foundational damage, all those things to ensure that we're getting water off the site and away from the building. Going to require some foundational drainage systems, a lot of what's called engineered fill, and then of course site grading to make sure the site is draining away from the buildings, storm sewer infrastructure, and then surface water management. So again, all those things trying to ensure that we're pulling water away from the buildings and we're, to the best of our ability, preserving the site and the building that goes on the site. So those were really the three major areas that pushed that budget variance significantly the other direction. So over the last 2 weeks, the design and construction team has been in a really intensive value engineering process. And very simply, value engineering means we are systematically looking at every component of that project to try to identify areas where we can reduce costs. And again, hopefully do that without compromising the educational quality of the building or, of course, any of the safety features of the building. I think that in my time in this career, this has been the most extensive value engineering process that I've been a part of. So up to this point, that team has identified approximately $2.9 million in savings, or about an 11% reduction. I think Jade is on, and Jade could certainly speak to this better than I could, but typically they say in the construction industry, if you can get a 5% reduction in value engineering, that was a great process. And so I really want to commend the team. I think everyone's pulled together and done a really great job of trying to identify cost reductions. I'm going to skip forward just for 1 minute. I'm not going to go through this list extensively, but this is the breakdown of cost savings. You can see we separate that into three categories: accepted, pending, and rejected. At this point, again, we've identified approximately 2.9 million. We have another 1.9 million as pending. We'll talk more about that here shortly. And then we've rejected some pieces of cost reduction that we just didn't think made sense. And so that's sort of the culmination of that process and where it's gone. The idea, again, as we launched into that value engineering process, was trying to keep the core scope of that project intact. And so at this point, we can say none of the reductions impact the really fundamental objectives of the project. We're still adding 10 new classrooms, still have comprehensive air conditioning, and again, a lot of safety features, including safe and secure main entrance. However, we are really limited in terms of further budget reduction on this project. At this point, it's very clear that if we make further reductions, that it's going to be extremely difficult to do that without, again, starting to cut into the fundamental scope of the project. And primarily that means space in that building and the addition of classrooms in that building. So I just added an example down here, as you might have saw in that slide. Eliminating the north classroom addition would save approximately $2 million, but of course would remove 4 desperately needed classrooms in that area, and really cut into one of our major goals, which was the expansion of the building and the ability to handle additional enrollment. So as we push deeper into the reduction process, we really start to cut into some of those fundamental elements of the project. So here are our recommendations as we move forward. I think first and foremost, the major thing to highlight is this is still a very, very high return on investment project. Still a ton of long-term value in this project. We get the expanded classroom portion of the project. We have the modern HVAC systems, again, upgraded safety and security features. This is a really interesting tidbit. So Jade ran the numbers if we were able to execute the project as we currently have it designed, that Rapid Valley would be the first 100 score on the district's facility performance index. So currently sits at 51 on the performance index. This project would take it to 100. I think that's very important, obviously, not only in terms of the strategic plan of the district and us trying to ensure that we're executing and moving forward on the strategic plan. But one of the things that we don't do well, and by we, I don't mean we RCAS, I mean we collectively as education systems, is look into the future and make long-term decisions. And I think that's primarily because we live in sort of this resource scarcity mindset all the time of trying to constantly deal with scarce resources. And sometimes in situations like this, especially where we're looking at a trade-off of long-term benefit and long-term value versus short-term savings, we really have to be committed to the idea of looking at that as a return on investment over a long period of time. And what does further reducing the scope of this project do for the district over the long term rather than the short term? So I think that's very important. Our recommendation at this point, we continue the design process. As we move deeper in design and we move closer to what will be the ultimate outcome of this process, which is Skoll issuing us a proposal for what they call a GMP contract, or a guaranteed maximum price contract, that budget clarity will continue to get better and better. And so you've all heard my very nerdy analogy about the AM radio, and the more you tune it, the closer you get to seeing actual numbers or moving through the static. This process will be very similar. Obviously, we hope that moves in the right direction and we see those estimates starting to reduce. Obviously, it could also move the other direction. We do have safeguards in place for that in terms of project contingency and design contingency. But as we continue in the process, we'll have a sharper and sharper idea of what that's going to look like. We recommend that we maintain flexibility, that ultimately that North Classroom addition reduction as an alternate value engineering option. We keep that, and if additional scope reduction becomes absolutely necessary, or we have movement in the budget that goes the wrong direction, that we have that on the table as an option to further reduce the budget. But again, we will have a more clear idea the deeper we move into the design process, exactly what that's going to look like. So at this point, no action is necessary. What will happen is as we get further into the design process, again, Skoll will issue us a GMP proposed contract that will say Skoll believes they can deliver this project at X cost. Once that contract is executed, it's Skoll's responsibility then to execute the project for that cost. If there are cost overruns, it's on Skull, it's not on the district. So that would be when the board will have an official vote on whether or not to approve that contract at that guaranteed maximum price. So no action necessary from the board. Obviously, I'm happy to answer questions or concerns or share your thoughts if you have any of those as we move forward. So, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, I will stop there and answer any questions that the board may have.
Any questions
I have a comment.
or comments? Comments are fully allowed as well.
I can only speak for myself, but I mean, I appreciate the effort to get it down and closer to that estimate. But I'm not interested in cutting more. I do think that this is going to serve us well for decades to come. I think the point you made about it being in a really residential rich area is important. And ultimately, I want it to be a great school. I want it to have as many rooms as we had initially planned so that we can take care of the growth that we're seeing out there. So
Yeah.
that would be my preference, is that hopefully we don't see it change and go up anymore, but I'm not interested in cutting from where we're at.
I think really excellent points. And my inclination is we won't see it go up. I think we've hit the major areas. Again, I think this is a real highlight of the CMAR model, is that we are discovering these things on the front end and we're able to discuss them and try to tackle the issues, as opposed to issuing a bid and then all the bids come back way over where we thought, and then we're really in a different place. So my belief is we probably hit a lot of those high areas, and I don't think we're going to see continued budget inflation. I think one other thing I should have mentioned, and again, this is really important in the thinking of this as a long-term investment, that I've been in this business almost 17 years. I've never one time heard a school representative say, geez, we just have too much space in this building. We have too many classrooms. We just don't need all this space. I've heard the opposite of that many, many, many times. And I think in our situation, for example, if we reduced the north classroom addition area and then in 10 years said, geez, we really need that back, we're going to have to approach this project. We can guarantee that that's going to cost significantly more in 10 years than it's going to cost today. And so, again, I think it's a hard dichotomy at times, especially from your finance guy, to say, yeah, we're over budget. However, I think the long-term return on a project like this makes sense, and continuing down this path makes sense, as opposed to looking at short-term cost reduction and then having to come back in 10 or 20 or 30 years and ultimately have significantly increased costs for doing the same things. Fire suppression, that's not going to go anywhere. Anytime we want to update the building in any meaningful way, that cost is going to be there. HVAC is obviously a high priority on our facility performance index. So none of these things are going to go anywhere in terms of needs. They're not going to get less expensive over time. So it's not ideal, but this is the cards that were dealt sometimes in projects like these. And I want to commend the team. I feel like everyone has pulled together and really done some excellent work in trying to reduce the scope of this project without losing those core components. So sorry, I used some of your points to further some other points.
I don't see other hands. I'd say thank you so much for the thorough explanation.
Yes, ma'am.
It's always great when the board is on the same page and we know as much information as possible. And then also just, talking about, we always want to be educationally sound. And one of the things I think of is, okay, so let's say we cut now and they have to come back in 10 years. That's another disruption to the building and
Yes.
disruption to learning and disruption to staff. So we also have to think about that. Like, obviously, you can't do it all in between Memorial Day and Labor Day per se, but at the same time, trying to do walls and ceilings and how disruptive that would be. I think our job is to make sure that we're doing the best for the students. And if we're tearing through walls every 3 years, then I don't think we're doing the best for the students. So that's another huge consideration for me that's important to do as much as you can at one time.
It's a great point.
And I
Absolutely
believe
true.
President Carr does have his hand up, sir.
Yes, I think this is a perfect example as we start and continue to have our bond conversation, that the district is making investments in our facilities and in our buildings outside of getting a bond. And I think sometimes that is forgotten. And again, it will be a talking point that whether we get a bond or not, the district is planning and budgeting and focusing on doing the best that we can with what we have. And we would, again, let me just speak for myself, obviously will love for our bond to pass so that we can even do more. And this is an example of the things that we will do with the finances that we get. So I just want to again pound the pavement on that point that we are doing something.
Yes, sir. Great point.
Thank you, President Carr. If there are no other questions or comments, Mr. Sassy, is there?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much, board. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sassy. We're now on item 10, conflict of interest. There are no conflict of interest. Item 11, RCAS policies, procedures, and exhibits, first reading. So it's items 11 through K. Does any board member have any item they want pulled? And again, this is first reading, so this is not really approving the policies. This is the first reading as they are written here. Seeing no hands or hearing no voices, I need a motion and a second to approve item 11.
I'll motion.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve item 11, policies, procedures, and exhibits, first reading. A roll call, please, Sheila. That is okay.
There we go. Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban. Yes. Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you very much. Motion carries. Now on to item 12, approval of proposed agreements and MOUs, items A through D. Does any board member have anything they want pulled? Seeing none, need a motion and a second to approve item 12, approval of proposed agreements.
I'll motion.
I'll second. So it has been motioned and seconded to approve item 12. Roll call, please, Sheila.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban. Yes. Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty,
Yes.
6-0.
All right, motion carries. We are now on to number 13, approval of proposed consent agenda. And that's items A through Q. Does any board member have anything they want pulled? We'll be pulling Bravo, please. Anybody else? Nope. All right, so need a motion and a second to approve item 13 with the exception of Bravo.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor of approving the proposed agenda, all items except for Bravo, roll call vote, please.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban. Yes. Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
and Angela Rafferty.
Yes.
6-0.
All right, motion carries. So we now move to item Bravo, and I need a motion and a second, and then we'll go to discussion. So I would motion to approve item Bravo that was pulled from consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. So this is very minimal. In the attachment, it has two different, one says change order 1 and one says change order 2. So it literally is just a very small clerical error, but because change order 1 was on previous agendas, we don't want to mix up anything financially and have it incorrect. So it would just say in the current one where it says change order 1, it'll be changed to change order 2. So with that being said, motioned and seconded, would like to approve item Bravo with the one edit that is proposed. We'll have a roll call vote for that.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
Angela Rafferty.
Yes.
6-0.
Excellent. We're on to item 14, items for board information, committee reports. Okay. All right, Mrs. Urban.
So I will, I'm not sure if President Carr wants to give the Finance Committee update. I would just briefly say that we discussed the current projections for the next fiscal year, and we also discussed creating goals just around finance that help us better direct our resources. So we'll be discussing that further at the next meeting. But certainly, President Carr, please feel free to add to that. And then I will give a quick facilities update. We're continuing to have conversations about our facilities needs and the fact that a bond will greatly help us meet those needs. Mr. Sassy showed the committee some possible amortization schedules. He looked at district valuation over time and how it affects the mill levy, and what that means for the taxpayer and the district in repayment over a 20-year period. We're excited about those early projections. We're trying hard to keep costs as low as possible for taxpayers, and we feel like we are going to be able to have a very reasonable ask. Of course, we know that the upcoming legislative session may bring changes to the way we are funded, given the property tax conversations that have been happening. So we will be watching this session closely to see if or how that might impact that bond ask. And then we talked about the necessary roof replacement at RCAA. It's been expanded to cover the admin area. After further inspection, they learned that it also needed to be replaced. So it was expanded a little bit, and they're hoping to have that project complete before it snows. So our next meeting is November 12th.
I was gonna tell her Matt, she even said the S word. Thank you, Ms. Urban. So I'm just gonna briefly report, community outreach. We have mentioned in previous board meetings that our focus is really going to be when the bond comes, we know we're gonna be very, very busy with reaching out to the community, but we're really working hard on just getting as many community events out as possible to you guys as board members. Ones that are on the radar right now is the hat, shoe, and mitten party, which is December 6th. We haven't got an official response and invite yet, but that's one opportunity. The welcome on the red carpet at LNI, that was a lot of fun last year. It's a lot of really good energy. The Christmas program schedules have been sent out, so any Christmas programs that anyone can, and that's sure for both, for all elementaries and middle and high school. So being able to go out and support those. We're working on, we do have, the board has a membership to Elevate. And so making ourselves available and present, even if it's one board member, one administrator, to the mixers. Again, as the spawn comes up, the more people we can talk to, the more people we know, the better. And it came to our attention that the RCA food pantry might be an option for us to volunteer at as well. And that's a monthly opportunity. And you all received emails about the student listening sessions. And so keeping those on your radar. And then I was legislative committee. So we did have our second legislative luncheon. Mr. Sassy, remind me how many legislators we had this time? I think 5. And so I think that's right, 5 or 6. I thought it was a very good luncheon. I think, we were here for a couple hours because there was a lot of good discussion. And so we are really working hard as a legislative committee and as a board to keep those lines of communication open and to know what's coming down the pipe for the legislative season and how we can advocate for our district and for public education in the legislators. So that is what I have for those 2 committees. All right. And I know early in the month, a lot of committees haven't met since the last month, so there's not necessarily a lot to say. So we will move on to other. Any others? I'm looking. See no others. I have one other. I want to give a shout out to the Southwest Middle School chorus and the chorus teacher. I happened to get to go to the Rush game and they sang the national anthem. And very ironically, my seats were right behind the students, which I didn't, it was just where I bought the seats. But one, they were so well behaved. They sang beautifully. And I was just so impressed at how much the students were just wanting to connect with their teachers and the staff that were there. And they were just so engaged and watch this, did you see this? And they're taking selfies with their teachers. And it just reminded me, there was a Saturday night at 10 o'clock and what our staff is putting in and how much our kids connect and appreciate the staff. So Mrs. Tucker, the chorus teacher there, and all the students in Southwest Choir, thank you so much for that and representing our district so well. Oh, Miss Urban, go ahead.
You made me remember one thing. I was just gonna give a shout out to all the students that made All-State Orchestra and Choir. We always have a really great showing from Rapid City, and a couple of the soloists were from Rapid and they were outstanding. So South Dakota has a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent that we send from Rapid City, and I'm super proud of our students and our staff that have supported them.
If there are no others, then I would take a motion to go into executive session. After that point, there would be no voting or any decisions made. And that is for STCL 1-25 2.1 and 2.3.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to go into executive session. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will take a brief break to log on to the other Zoom. So, oh, we do have to roll call vote, sorry. Roll call, Ms. Sheila.
Troy Carr,
Yes.
Jamie Clapham,
Yes.
Katie Urban,
Yes.
Donna Moore,
Yes.
Walt Swan,
Yes.
and Angela Rafferty.
Yes.
All right, we will now move into executive session. 3-minute break.